I remember, and this is a really, I think, worthwhile thing to add right now. I'm not sure what year it was, but it was some years after I first met Sid, and I'm sitting in a group in Tiburon, which is a little town across the bay from San Francisco. And there was Linda Pransky, Judy Sedgman, and Leslie Miller, three people you may have heard of. And it was, I think, a 5-day workshop. And Sid and George were coming in for the final 2 days. So here I am. I haven't had a lot of exposure to this, but I'm really captivated. I'm really interested. So I'm sitting there in this group. There were people from all over the US there. And my wife Ronnie and I were sitting there. And what was interesting is that there were people from, I think, the East Coast who were Jewish, and there were people there that were Arab. And I think they were from LA. But anyway, they were in this room. They were interested in what was being offered. And Linda, Judy, and Leslie were talking about thought and saying, look, it's all thought. It's all thought. And we just think conflict into existence by the thinking we have. And so I'm sitting there now. I'm not getting it at this stage. My understanding was pretty shallow, you might say. But what happened was that some of the Jewish people were saying, no, I think some of the Arab background people were saying, probably they were Muslims, I'm not sure. You mean to say that the conflict between the Palestinians and the Israelis is just all thought? What about the hundreds of years of violence and ill will and this, that, and the other? And they were going, and the Jewish people said, yeah, that's, no. And so they got really upset with what was being said. It was all too simplistic, right? What was being said. So I'm sitting there, I'm having this difficulty and now we've got a little war going on in this group between I'd say the Muslims and the Jewish people. Oh, I wish they'd just stop it so I can get this. Anyway, I'm sitting there, stewing. And suddenly my mind clears. Wow. Oh, this is an example. This is it. You see, both sides are so entrenched in their beliefs, their opinions, their judgments, their conditioning. This is what holds it in place. Well, I had quite this insight. And I remember, and then we broke for lunch. And so I'm really on a high at this stage. And I went to my wife and I said, sweetheart, no, I turned to my wife. We hadn't got out of the seat. I said, sweetheart, I'm ready to die. Honestly, I found what I've been looking for. I'm ready to die. I don't want to die. Don't get worried, but I'm ready to die. Now, I'd had a fear of death. And I made up this crazy idea that I wanted to live to 127. Why 127? I have no idea. And then I was at peace. I didn't fear death anymore. And I saw that conflict is just a state of mind. It's not real. All the things that we put in the way, that we build up, that we believe to be true, the truth of the matter, is just made up.
Mm.
If we're willing to let go of, what we believe to be the truth.
Mm.
So does that respond?
Yeah, that's great. And I want to, what you just said is wonderful, and also that ties in with the question I have about, you said, well, I'm either in the realm of possibility or impossibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so is
Mm-hmm.
that something that you notice yourself as you go through the
Yes.
day, or how does
Oh,
that
yes.
work for you?
Yes. Well, what tells me where I'm at on that continuum
Hmm.
is how I feel.
Okay.
And at the moment, I'm feeling really good. Um, I really don't have an axe to grind, although I might sound as though I have. Um, the interview seems to be going okay. Um, uh, so I feel very fluid.
Right, right.
I feel very fluid. I mean, I'm ready for anything. Um, and But if my feeling goes off, immediately I know I'm out of that state. I'm more, and I think it's a continuum. I mean, it's like, let's say at one end of the spectrum, we have the experience of Sydney Banks, maybe Jesus Christ, maybe Muhammad, maybe Buddha. And the other end, we have, um, just a terrible, horrible human being.
Mm,
Okay. We're all on that continuum, and I think we move up and down.
mm,
And I think that what happens is that when we move into the realm of possibility, as I call it, for simplicity's sake, it reconditions our conditioning.
mm,
So our conditioning gets better.
mm,
So progressively, when I was in my conditioning once, heavy into my conditioning, I wasn't a pretty picture.
mm,
I would get angry.
mm,
I was very arrogant. I remember Leslie Miller saying to me, John, when I was having coaching with her in Lacona,
mm,
she turned to me one day, and she's a lovely person. She said, John, you're the most arrogant man I've ever met.
mm.
And I thought, wow, me arrogant?
Mm,
No way. So it really stopped me in my tracks. And we're
right.
walking out from the session, and I turned to Ronnie and I says, honey, do you think I'm arrogant? He says, well, you sure can be.
Mm,
And so I might get very enthusiastic these days, and I think you probably are picking that up. But I don't think I'm arrogant anymore, but maybe I am. You can be the judge of that.